So if we consider, for example, AI and innovation in design, I know it's emerging. I know we don't have a tested and practiced solution. It's most likely going to happen. But I would be very interested to know from your perspective as educators and as practitioners, how you see, for example, let's say, for architectural educators, right? How do you think, or how should architectural education adapt to prepare future architects to effectively integrate AI? Doctor, would you like to go first? In the design process, I know it's...
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So I can give my thoughts on the AI and what is already currently happening in the design studios. AI is already being used thoroughly, not only in theoretical courses, but also in practical courses. And we are facing some challenges in different levels. To be honest, I think we all need to incorporate AI in our practice and in our education. Probably the programs, they might need to be reviewed, or at least some courses might need to be added, or even some design of our teaching and learning methods will need to be, readjusted for the incorporation. I believe that the future will have to address the needs of using AI, but I feel that there's a long debate on how AI is going to take our jobs as architects. I don't believe, I honestly don't trust that. I know there's a lot of discussion. I think that we can use the AI as a tool in our toolkit as an architect, and we need to control this AI as a tool to take the most benefit out of it. So currently, we can use AI, for example, for research methods and data collection on a first stage or a pre-design stage, let's say. So we already encourage our students. In my architectural design studios, I encourage students to acknowledge the use of AI. I think it's better, and that also in terms of institutional or educational, that leads us to a different problem. That is how to control, or let's say the percentage. It's a kind of a plagiarism, how much AI they are using, and how can we control this as an institution. We are trying to test, and we already implemented some regulations. For the theoretical part or the text, it's a little bit easier because we also have to create somehow regulations or ways to control the use of AI in terms of images and projects, and this is a little bit more challenging. The second part is the use of AI already for the design stage. So for the students to know how to incorporate storytelling in architecture in order to produce, let's say, good text to achieve good AI solutions, this is also something that is a must. Another thing to another extreme is the use of gamification in architecture. So we have now currently some trends in design education, not so much as a bachelor level, but a master's level. There's some courses or some programs that are designed to incorporate gamification in architecture, meaning that they will create, they will have to know coding and computing and programming in order to then deliver an architecture project. But again, that's why I say it's a tool. We are the ones to produce or to gather the input and to prepare the program in order to achieve the output. I think we had recently in my university a group from a master's program from Tsinghua University in China, and they were using gamification architecture. They were using a site in Riyadh that was in Sports Boulevard, and I was in their final jury presentation, and what I noticed the most, I can understand the potential of using AI tool, but let's say the non-tangible architecture and the concepts and the culture, it wasn't there. It was, again, shapes. It was a collection of images that they thought that by using those images that they would refer to a cultural background as Saudi, but we could see even in the typologies and the use of space, community spaces, that they couldn't understand the cultural background. So there's still
emerging, basically.
Space for improvement, and we need to, that part maybe of more like the cultural and social aspects, I think they are very challenging to obtain in an AI production.
Definitely not represented yet. I think that's a work in progress.
Maybe
Thank
in
you.
the future.
Yes, definitely. I think there is room for that. Thank you, Dr. Maryam. I think we'll follow the I think, you know, maybe another aspect that we look into is besides adapting the curriculum and so on. So maybe the other aspect is regarding ethical consideration. You know, in what way do you think the architectural industry, I mean, that I'll keep it for the for the practitioners, maybe. To what extent do you think the emerging of AI in terms of design is going to be overtaking or overshadowing the creative part?
Well, actually, this is a question that one of my students recently asked me, particularly yesterday. Like, will AI take our places, creatively wise? I think being afraid that AI would take our place is the problem. Acknowledging AI because it takes our information, we feed it, we give it information, we give it the creativity aspect that we have. But AI would not generate creativity. There's always the need for the unpredictable error, human error, that would create the humanized environment that we live in. So in my perspective, AI would never be that creative or not reach the human creativity yet, because we have this, we call it human error, but I believe it is the thing that we need to have in the designs that's created.
So would it enhance this intuitive creative process? Would it assist?
AI, as Dr. Sónia mentioned, AI is a tool to help us. Utilizing it, acknowledging it, utilizing it in our own unique way will enhance our outcome, not actually the other way around. AI cannot take over our creativity.
Very good, thank you. I think with the, we keep moving, so we'll move to the practitioners. And I think here, maybe the first question is, what specific challenges do you see or do you foresee when integrating AI into the architectural practice?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أول شيء, let me take this subject as a personal matter for me and experience. I was one of the people really resisting AI in the beginning because I always believed that architecture is a human behavior, as the lady mentioned earlier, which really you know, talked about a very important subject. Architecture is a human behavior, is a space that affects you, affects your lifestyle. When AI came, many people were worried that, as the doctor mentioned earlier, that it might take our space. I believe that it cannot take the architect role or the interior designer role or any designer for a reason. The long process that we use in communication with our clients, with our staff, and to build this project in stages, as Professor Ali gave a very beautiful and amazing presentation, and he made me feel that I want to be a student again, actually. It was such a great information about the project and the process that you go through to create that space in whatever, let's say, size or scale or type. We did a small workstation in our workshop, in our office. And I pushed my staff to do that AI exercise. And it took us around 4 hours to go over tools. I told them, I'm talking to a machine. I'm not talking to a client who I'm designing for, and I'm trying to make his lifestyle better, or let's say, what is his ambition for now, the future, etc. To be honest, it wasn't easy for us to, as architects, to work with AI. And I'm very sure, and I totally agree that it's a tool, how to enhance things. But I also believe that this machine is giving me crazy ideas that might not work with this project, might not work with me as an architect or as my methodology in design. So I don't want to say I'm one person maybe against AI, but we really need time to enhance and develop that program and product for, let's say, having a better architectural human behavior study reflection on our projects. And I'm still having resistance for that AI thing, and maybe I'm an old school. I like to use my pen, my paper, and talk to my clients and my workers at the office to take and give. In the end, architecture is much bigger word than a space or a design. It's really a human interaction in a space which will lead you to a much better future. Just to keep it actually very short as my experience, my thesis was designing a Alzheimer's facilities when I graduated, which was one of the hardest things I ever did because you have to live with the people in the hospital for at least 8 months before you finish your design. So imagine AI now coming, telling me that I would like to design with keywords a human behavior. I totally agree that this, let's say, AI can give me maybe some hints or some advanced, let's say, elements which I can develop maybe some skills. But I always tell my clients, my staff, AI can never take over your emotions and your creativity as an architectural human intentions. Thank you.
Very, very relevant. Thank you very much. I think I'll move to a slightly different topic, and it touched on what you addressed already.
Yeah.
When, in terms of cultural identity, global context, design, and so on. So I would say, what challenges do designers and you want face when they have to integrate cultural identity into diverse types of designs? I mean, not international context, but let's say about the Bahrain. Please feel free to answer it in Arabic if you prefer.
Yeah. I'll try to
It's fine.
say it.
I understand Arabic, but I cannot speak as fluently as...
بالنسبة حقنا إحنا حالياً بدأنا شغل في الرياض. It is mandatory now there to work with like the Salmani architectural approach.
Okay.
They already start like this concept that we are talking about it today. Since like 2 years ago, I go to conference there. They were talking about exactly the same. We are not want to duplicate the past. So I believe AI, it is a very helpful tool. For me, I like to check the new ideas. We make similar workshop in our studio. Each designer create another output with the same input. Because I believe still the designer input, it is the one who will
shape, give it form.
فإحنا النولج اللي بنتعلمه من الجامعة الكونسبتس الانبوت اللي بنحطه حق AI to create our designs, it is coming from us. فال AI still cannot integrate, it's not understanding fully the culture because maybe there is not a lot of input in the internet, so it cannot create anything new.
So this could be the main challenge that you foresee, regardless of use of AI or not.
Design. I believe we have to imagine our design, then we can use the AI tool to create it for us, like concept design for us. But then the developing stage should be by us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Agree. Okay, great. Thank you. I think, I think now I can ask about the challenges that you may be facing in the, onboarding or the use of AI in practice, basically.
Well, first of all, I'd like to give an example or to say something that I think most of us know. First is Kodak. Second is Nokia. Okay. most of the audience here, except the students, they won't know the name Nokia or the name Kodak. Kodak resisted, let's say, change. I would use the word change or new. Okay, the same as Nokia. Both of them, they resisted the word new or change, so they could not resist. They could not stay in the market. So Nokia, those days, I think most of us, we could not imagine our life without a Nokia. And it was like putting the mobile as a sign of
Status. I have it.
yes, I have it, and it was like you know, it's like IT development, you know. So that was the Nokia. The same goes with Kodak. If you go and see the history behind or the story behind these two big companies, they had the opportunities, or in Kodak, Dr. Farid, if he's here, Dr. Farid Bayat, they had the opportunity to develop, to have the new what we have today. You know, they didn't. AI is a tool. I totally agree that AI is just a tool. You mentioned in your presentation that sustainability was the trend. Today's AI, definitely tomorrow will be something else. We can't imagine because we can't predict. We're supposed to, because architects are predicting the future if they are good architects. So there will be something else, you know? So it's just a tool. Coming back to your answer to your question, what are the challenges? We were facing these challenges 20 years ago while we were students in researching. Why? At those days, 20 years ago, there was a lack of information in Arabic. Mm-hmm. If you had the language of knowing other languages, you were the boss of the group, because you were able to get more information from the internet. Yes. Why? Because Arabs, we were thinking those days still, having information is the power. So no much information on the net. So it keeps, developing. Today, AI wants to do something for our culture, to do something for Arabs, something for the Middle East. But AI doesn't have enough proper data to do. If you want to do a design, let's say, I don't want to say foreigner or Western, but a design that suits London, easily the AI can do it for you. But if you want something to do it for Arab, he will suffer, the AI, in whatever, for architecture, for photography, in Photoshop. If you take a Western, I can do this photo with a suit and a tie perfectly in Photoshop. AI, he can create something for you because it has the data. But if you want to do it in Thope, it's difficult.
Yes, I think there is a lot of room yet for these platforms to integrate the...
And to end my answers, I a little bit disagree with my colleagues in that AI should be just in the beginning. No, it's a tool. You can use it even at the end of your project, sometimes in delivery, sometimes in on-site, which is a very critical, so you can use it. So it's not just conceptual.
Yes.
It's how you use and your power of using AI, how you use it. Thank you.
I think it's an emerging, so we have yet to see how. And in terms of emerging, I think another aspect that would be interesting to know is, are firms and companies investing in training, in infrastructure to adopt this new, AI or some very advanced tools. It could be about testing performance and things like that? Or is there a resistance and a shift? For example, our students, we prepare them to use Revit because that's what the market needs. They go to some companies and it's still AutoCAD. So what's the status?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. First of all, if you allow me, I'm going to comment on what my colleague said, and
Sure.
if there's enough time, I'll respond to the question.
I know, I want my question answered too.
Because I think something interesting is brewing here, and it would be a shame not to expand on it and go deeper.
Absolutely.
First of all, I will start here by saying I really appreciate the comments, but I fundamentally disagree with almost everything that's been said. AI is not something new. I mean, BIM is a form of AI, right? You take the wall, you take the line, and then automatically knows to connect with another wall. You draw a line and it automatically creates your elevations and your floor plans. So AI is nothing new when it comes to architecture, when it comes to the built environment, when it comes to interior design. That's the first thing. The second thing is we're all talking about the forms of AI that we have very little exposure to through some of the images that are coming out through, DALI or some of these other tools that we have out there. The reality is there's a really good article written in October 2024 by Darren Amodiai, who was the ex-OpenAI, currently the co-founder and CEO of Anthropic, which is supported by the likes of Amazon and Google and some other big players in the digital space and so forth. And he says something very interesting. He says in 2 to 3 years, we expect, and this is one of the co-founders of one of the biggest players of artificial intelligence. So let's hear it from the devil himself, as they say. So he says in 2 to 3 years, we expect artificial intelligence and AI to surpass human knowledge, to surpass human capabilities, number one. Number two, the other thing he says is that today we ask, the tools that we have, we ask these tools questions. We will arrive at a point where we no longer need to ask those tools these questions. The tools, what we call tools today, and I'll comment on the word tools, it's used very liberally, but I think we need to be a bit more careful with using the word tool. That in 2 to 3 years, AI will become self-aware, and it itself will ask the right questions, right? So today, we ask AI, for example, can you solve this pharmaceutical question? And he kind of gives this example in his article. So, Miss AI, can you solve this, chemical problem for us? In a few years, AI will pick its own questions, and it will automatically and generatively ask questions and solve them on its own. Now, when we use the word tools, we use it so easily. The reality is an architect is also a tool, right? Some client is trying to make some money, trying to build a house, trying to create an experience, and you, as an architect, let's be very honest with each other. We are also tools to someone else's, goals, right? The other thing I want to ask here is that, I may have read this year, well, it's the beginning of the year, but in the past year, I may have read 10, 20, 30 articles, 2, 3, 4, 5 books maybe, if I'm lucky. The model, in an instant, can read 20, 30, 40 books. You want to create a center for autistic children or a center for people with Alzheimer's, it will read all the data out there published by top universities and institutions in the world and be able to feed it back to you. Now, what we're seeing today is, I wouldn't even say the tip of the iceberg, it's the tip of the tip of the iceberg. In 2007, 8, 9, MIT's, one of MIT's labs was working on a prototype where you would feed the generative system a set of building codes and feed it to site and begin creating spaces and forms. That was in 2007, 8, 9. My point is that we have not yet seen the capabilities that are possible. You will arrive at a point where, oh, you said that we like talking to clients. Well, guess what? Right now, you can download ChatGPT and go on voice mode and ask it to speak to you in any accent you like. Saudi accent, Irish accent, Australian accent, it'll have a full-on conversation with you. So you will arrive at a point where, since we have Zoom calls nowadays, right? You can actually put this AI assistant, talk to a client, summarize all the client's points, and begin generating floor plans and designs for the client. You can train the AI. Okay, I can keep going on and on.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make here, in summary, is that I think we're underestimating this tool that is out there. Number one, number two, and it's good for us to do that, because imagine if we all sat here and said, AI's got this figured out, guess what? The conference would be over, we'll all go home, right? Because it's done, we have nothing else to say. So I think it's important to have this discussion. Do you still want me to answer your question, or are we okay?
No, that's fine, because I think that's the beauty of a panel discussion with conflicting, sometimes complementary opinions. That's how we learn and open up new horizons. I think it's fine, because I have one question that I would like everybody to, I have the mic, you can keep it, that's fine, thank you. That I would like to hear very briefly from everyone, because I think it's at the essence of part of, being from a university, this event or being organized. I think, the question would be, what skills and competencies should, students develop? Either you are teaching them or you are at the receiver end and would like them to be ready with that. So what skills and competencies should students have for the evolving demands of the profession? Our profession keeps changing. We always introduce new tools with capabilities that we don't have a clue of what's going to become tomorrow, basically. So what do you think we should develop? What type of skills, what type of competencies should our students have? You're receiving our students, we're forming the students. What should we work on? Very briefly from everyone, because I think soon I'll have the red flag for time over.
Okay. Regarding education, I'll start, or I'll answer from what Dr. Hawaj said this morning. We understand, or we want the university to qualify the students for the market, but that's not the goal, or that's not what Dr. Hawaj and Dr. Lari mentioned this morning. They said that they want to open horizons for us, for living. So it's not just the qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
So you have two roles. You want to qualify, that is one role, but through research and through what Dr. Hawaj mentioned, that you want to open horizons or to open windows. So you have to predict in future, to help in the future. So you have to keep these two things in mind, not just to qualify students only for the market. That's a very limited,
No, for sure. I mean, as I said, the profession is evolving. So how do you equip them with that mindset?
As a university, as not just the university, the educational part, you have to equip them and to go on with the technology, with what the market needs. Mm-hmm. Yes, and I will correct if Ali will allow me, because he said the use of AI as a tool maybe is not right. Maybe.
He's not saying it's just as a tool.
Well, I was thinking, yeah, I won't say a tool. It is a methodology that might change later on. So this is for the educational partners. They are partner of the society. So they have to qualify, and at the same time, they have to think to challenge the future and present something new.
Very good. And what skills would you like to have?
I believe nowadays the students need to be more flexible because the time running very fast. Maybe before, each 5 years, we will have new program. But now, each 3 months, maybe, we have new programs.
So the ability to learn continuously and adapt to new...
Yes, because you can't every day change the program in the university. So they only need to be more flexible, learning from everywhere. I guess this is the best way.
That's the key.
Yeah.
All right.
And another thing, I believe the architecture and interior design field, it's not only about designing. There is a big demand now on project management.
Absolutely.
And still I can't fill that gap.
Okay.
I believe part of the architectural curriculum, and I'm not sure if the doctors will agree with me, they have to be on the ground. Being on the library is important, being in a lecture is important, but real life is totally another story when you go practicing in interior or architecture. Communication skills and practicing has to be part of the architectural curriculum, because maybe a lot of talents, they graduate from the architectural program or the interior program or the engineering. They have a problem in the first few years of establishing that communication with others, because they will go to a very open world. As we said, part of it now is AI, the clients, the contractors, the consultants, the clients, and it's a big world. But now they are harbored in informations, which they need, definitely. But I believe part of the, and I don't believe it should be in the end, actually it should be in the beginning, because some people might change their mind in the domain. You know, they don't feel that they can give as architects or designers. So I totally support that part of the curriculum should be being on the ground with practice.
So a hands-on internship maybe
Absolutely.
earlier on to test the water.
They
and
have
then
to
at
go
the
out
end
and
to-
experience the world, definitely, definitely.
I mean, I agree with what the panelists already have mentioned regarding utilizing AI, understanding it. So from my perspective is, because normally I deal with first-year students, so what I tell them is don't be afraid of technology, explore it. At the same time, you have to start with the paper. If you don't know, and I've been told by different scholars before who taught me that if you don't know how to use a paper and a pen, you're not a designer, like a crippled designer, or that's the term that's been used. So I try to enforce them, and I believe a lot of my colleagues are doing the same, starting with a paper and a pencil, and then develop all the other options that you've got. And I agree with hands-on being in the field, and we do try to get projects, different universities are trying to get projects to students that are real, with real clients, even if the clients don't actually implement their designs, but it's the idea that having a real criteria for the students to feel that, oh, this is my limitations, and understanding that when they go to their co-op experience, it's not something new for them, and the communications hopefully are getting improved and so on. So that would be my thoughts.
Dr. Sonia?
Thank you so much. So from my point of view, right now, I think it's a must for them to be technological driven. And I think I would resume everything in kind of a leadership kind of skill. Why? Because for you to be a leader, you have also to know how to communicate well. And you also have to be a critical thinker. And if we are talking about dealing with AI and provide inputs, I think this is also something that you need to know. Collaborative work, I would believe this is a must in our field. And I think the universities, at least from my institution, we are trying to do as best as possible, not only to give them design challenge that are coming from the industry or ministries, but also research-based design. So from the theoretical courses, we are involving them in conferences and research papers and publications for them to also understand how important is the research part, that it's necessary to then produce a good design. I also believe that, like you said, working in a pen, I think you were also like communicating with the same thing. Maybe you're saying that it was more old school. No, what I see from the experience from the students, I think they can balance between sketching and working manually and also like producing AI. From my experience, the best ones are the ones that can create an equilibrium between those two tools. I think this is how they can take the best out of the two worlds. Okay, thank you.
May I add something?
Yeah, sure. I was going to change slightly my question for the تفضل.
Shukran. Well, I agree with all these, but I was just thinking that this is not enough, I think you should, I don't know, graduate, train, name it, whatever. So the output should be, as designers, people more sensitive, more caring. So I was thinking that we have to have more like focus on the human side, and
Emotional intelligence.
emotional. Yeah, these are things that AI can't understand, or because it relates to feeling. So I think يعني I'll say it in Arabic يعني إن المفروض صرت أفكر إن الجامعة طالما رئيس الجامعة موجود يعني والمعنيين موجودين، مو بس الجامعة الأهلية، كل الجامعات، أن تخرج طالب يهتم إلى الإنسان، إلى المجتمع، يكون عنده إحساس. فيما سبق يعني بضرب مثال، ما أعرف اسمه، يمكن اللي يحضره اسمه، اللي صمم عش الغراب في كوريا واليابان، كله في السجن، وهو فنان واركيتكت، كله في السجن، لأنه دائما عنده آراء ضد الحكومة، آراء في صالح الشعب. الشعب يعني دائما يفكر همه، يحمل هم أكبر من يعني مجرد هم إن أنا أبغى أسوي، يفكر في هم الأمة. فأعتقد يعني صرت أفكر المخرجات اللي تفضلوا فيها هي مخرجات مهمة، لازم يكون عندها، بس عشان نتميز إنه يكون عندنا يعني شخص يهتم أكثر إلى الإنسان، يعني
Yes,
more
definitely.
sensitive.
I think that's what many companies are looking for. Besides the skills that we know of, there is emotional intelligence. I'm asked, would you have any addition? I was going to ask you, no, okay. How industry and academia can, but maybe we will have questions from the audience. Professor Ali?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think we had...
Sure.
There are some
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Try again.
Okay. I think that was a great panel, and I loved so much how an argument was established.
Exactly.
And a wonderful counter-argument also was established by our dear friend Ali. But let me share with you that this culture of fear that we are experiencing now because of artificial intelligence, it's not also new.
Yes.
When electricity was invented, they were talking about the collapse of humanity, because the whole economy of villages and towns and cities in the world was based on to bring oil and to street lanterns and the cords, and a whole economy and a whole people were working on industries and economies and crafts that when electricity came destroyed all of this, right? The same with trains, the same with typewriters, right? The same level of fear. Now, this is one point. I belong to the generation where we were doing everything manual in schools of architecture and studios and whatever, and suddenly the AutoCAD came. And exactly the same words, Ali.
Yeah.
The tip of the iceberg. Everybody was talking about, I read an article either in the Architectural Review or Architectural Progressive saying the end of the profession.
Yes.
The end of architecture, because we have AutoCAD. And they were saying exactly about what you're saying, Ali. How many boards you can produce. And then 3D Max and Form Z and whatever. If you are doing a manual perspective in 3 weeks, those tools can produce 200 perspective in an hour, and so on and so forth. But as you rightly said, Ali, it all ends up with bringing it back to the human brain.
Decisions.
Up till now, there were not, even with I think you were referring to the Media Lab in MIT. Even with the Media Lab in MIT, they're still referring everything to the final decisions that will be done by humans, because they cannot replace that. Let me finalize by 2 very interesting examples coming from the tycoons of artificial intelligence and the digital paradigm. Amazon. Do you know that Amazon now are distributing shops in the States of America? Shops, they called it Amazon shops. You go again to the shop and you select whatever and you pay for it. So they did realize that shops are places for people to get together and talk and socialize.
Human interaction.
Amazon Books, they now have shops where a main component of the shop is a coffee place where people have coffee and buy books and whatever. Look at Apple. How many generations of what they called it Apple Pencil? Why they made Apple Pencil? Because they know that the human dimension is fundamentally needed. So I see the wonderful argument, I see the wonderful counter-argument, but I still argue that humans are extremely important and irreplaceable. Thank you.
Totally, I fully agree. Irreplaceable, it may contribute to, yes, thank you. To make our life easier, but it's opening many other venues. So it's different jobs, not a jobs that disappears. I think that's what I was looking for, how to prepare our graduates, what skills they have to be able to continuously learn and adapt, I guess.
Thank you very much. Dr. Ali was saying he was studying and everything was manual, and then the CAD came. Well, I am even older school than you. In my time, the CAD didn't come at all. So everything was Dr. Ali done manually. But I am an educator for more than 30 years. So from the educational point, again, I wouldn't say the fear. Personally, it's more a bit of worry. A worry in a sense that, yes, I'm an old school, but at least being at the University of Bahrain now, we are recently having a lot of workshops which go with AI and tools, and we keep, being educated as well. And first of all, I think this is the most important thing, because if we as an educators are not educated for AI and really ready for those challenges, how we can then prepare the students. So I think in that regard, really the educators and universities and School of Architecture, all the educational institutions, first of all, need to invest in education of the faculties. The second, again, when it comes to the student, my worry is as well that we really need to approach to this carefully, not to rush in it as a kind of a, the trend, the thing now, and we need to go in it and so on. We need to go step by step. This is my opinion. I don't know whether the panel share this, because again, we don't want to lose this student/human touch. We recently have seen one of our colleagues was showing us an example of the student who, for a mid-jury, produced a wonderful, amazing 3Ds. But when we look at a 2D plan,
No.
there was no plan, there was no functions, there was no creativity, there was nothing. So I think we need, as an educators, really to carefully approach AI, when to inject it, where to inject it, how to inject it, create all kind of a list of some kind of a guidance in all this in order to prepare definitely students for the challenges that are
Coming ahead.
they are going to face them. So this is from the educator point of view.
No,
I don't know if the panelists agree with
definitely
me.
relevant. I am told, I think the debate that is created can be taken over to lunch, because I
Yes.
don't think we can, I think I can see many other, contribution possibly. So I think I can only thank you sincerely for your contribution to this discussion, and invite you to continue the conversation, because I'm sure there will be more hands if we had more time. But I'm reminded that my time is over. So thank you again very much. It was a pleasant discussion, informative, and I love when it's not all going in one direction.
Hello.
Thank you.
Sorry. Can I have one question, please? Excuse me? Sorry, can I have one question, please?
She's the boss.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so
One
much
question.
for your time. My name is Maryam Al Khateeb. I'm an interior decorator and the CEO and founder of Playworks Decor. We have been using AI heavily in our work. We love it. I train all my staff and teams on it. We use it from the beginning. When we're meeting the clients, we use ChatGPT to analyze the text of our clients to determine what kind and best way of chatting with them, what kind of personality they have, because we design based on our client's personality. We use Discord and Midjourney to design concepts, so it's not full, design. It's not from A to Z. Like you said, it's a tool, and it's making our work faster. When I showed it first to my employees, they were terrified, and they were like, "Oh my God, is AI going to take our jobs?" So I told them, no, it's people who know how to use AI that are going to take your jobs. So I think it's the most important thing to introduce it in all college curriculums and even high schools.
And yes, of course, it's not a way, like it's not used to cheat as much as it's making your life faster and easier. So we found out that it really does help with our work. Whatever we can produce in a week gets produced in an hour. Whatever gets produced in a month gets produced in a week, and so on. So that makes me, as a business owner, happy. I can take more
Interested in the
projects.
solution,
Yes. So my question is, when there is something that used to take so many hours, my question is to you. Sorry, I'm sorry. What's your name?
Ali.
Yes.
Ali.
Ali.
Engineer
I
Ali.
liked what you said. Thank you so much for your input. My question is to you. When something that used to take months to provide, like, you know, rendered images and 3D design and so on, costs a lot because of how long it takes, because of the effort and the employees you need to make it, now gets done so easily and so fast. Naturally, the price will drop, and this is coming soon. So my question is, should we change our approach when we're pricing these kinds of services for our client? And instead of keeping the prices high on what used to be like maps and render design, we keep it more on the human aspect, which is project management, which again, AI cannot really do for you.
Testing. Okay. So the question of pricing is a really business discussion, right? Like, you take a class on pricing strategies, and the first thing they'll tell you is divide your customers into different customer segments and see how much your customers are willing to pay, and that's how much you asked. That's how much you put on your proposal. So that's a business discussion. It's an economic discussion. It's a marketing strategy discussion. It's not a discussion that I can address immediately. However, what you do make, the point that you make, is you're saying that, and this relates to what Professor Ali also mentioned, is that, well, if we're able to use these tools, we have a lot more time on our hands, right? The promise of technology to begin with was that by having technological innovation and making work that could be done in hours, be done in minutes, or in days, be done in, you know, whatever hours and so forth, is that we will have a lot more free time. And the humans will be able to enjoy life a little more, right? So when Amazon creates bookstores around, I don't know, the US or whatever, they're not doing it because, you know, the utility of bringing books closer to people, because, hey, you can just go on Amazon.com right now and buy 20 books if you want. And it'll even recommend 30 other books for you. So the utility is human entertainment, human happiness. You know, let's have a good time, right? So the function changes. The function is no longer delivering a book to you, because the only way we could do that 100 years ago was for you to go to a bookstore. Now the utility is human entertainment. The library, as we saw in Qatar National Library, which yes, I was there like a couple of weeks ago, and it was very loud at 6 p.m. I was like, the library loud? They have a quiet room if you want a quiet place, right? You forgot to mention that point, which I thought was interesting. It's like, library used to be a quiet place. No. If you want a quiet place, you go to the quiet room. I thought that was interesting. So the point I'm trying to make is the utility changes. So in your case, what I would say is that, hey, I mean, you're able to produce more in less time. Perhaps then what you begin doing is you begin doing bigger projects. You begin doing, you know, that others do in 3 months, you do them in 1 month. So your function as an office changes. You begin to explore different avenues for work, or you give your staff more time to go and have fun, right? In fact, what I find interesting is that I'm beginning to hear this. There's a lot of offices now that operate not necessarily. This is not necessarily AI related, but how you operation related, is that many offices now, you see 3 or 4 figures, project managers, and they do work that requires 20 people, but those other 17 people are sitting in, you know, on laptops in India or in Egypt or in Dubai or wherever, producing your work for you, and you're essentially filtering the work, reviewing it, and you know, judging it, so to speak. So I think what you're suggesting is perhaps what can happen. I'm going to conclude 1.5 sentences. that what can happen is that you then begin to reimagine your work based on the extra available time that you've been able to very intelligently, and I can applaud you for that, to gather from your use of the devices that have been made available to you.
Excellent, thank you. And I noticed also when you presented that at the forefront, you said that we spend the time to discuss with the client. And I think this initial input is what could give you the output that we look for. And it goes back to this human interaction and human... Thank you very much, otherwise I'll be thrown out of the stage very soon. So again, thank you very much for your discussion. I really appreciated that. Give them a big round of applause. Thank you.